welcome to Monday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we're going to be taking a look at the puzzle on the screen, which is called Middle Distance, and it's by ZegreS. Now, ZegreS has appeared on the channel many times before, but normally with so-called riddle Sudokus that have a riddle you have to solve before you can solve the puzzle. Well, today we have not got a riddle, we've just got a blue dotted thing and some grey squares, and apparently an approachable puzzle today. So if you're relatively new to variant Sudoku, this might be one to try. But before we do that, first of all, I hope some of you joined us last night for the Looker, where Mark and I, well, it was really me. Mark had to play Watching Brief because we couldn't get the audio issues sorted out, but I got to play through the Looker, which is a parody of The Witness. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Even the ending was quite amusing, you have to agree. What I did not find fun was the beep puzzle. That was beeping awful. So yes, apologies for my ineptitude at solving the beep puzzle in the middle. That was just quite shocking. But anyway, that video's up on the channel if you fancy watching it. Other than that, thanks so much to those of you who have downloaded our new app. It's available at the moment on the App Store. It should be coming at the end of this week on Android and probably a couple of weeks after that on Steam. And for those of you who don't know what's going on, we've had to basically completely revamp our app interface to make sure that we can now add on packs to the app. So what you can do is you can download the app, and then periodically we're going to release extra packs of Sudokus, handcrafted always, and you'll be able to download those if you want to get them. And that's how our apps are going to work going forward. So what we've done is we've launched the new app. There is a pack of free puzzles on there by Prasanna Seshadri. Absolutely wonderful stuff, so do download it. And of course there is also our new Domino Sudoku pack, which is just like our other apps, which all featured 100 handcrafted Sudoku. That is what Domino Sudoku is, and it's a whole bunch of Sudokus which feature restrictions that apply to dominoes in a Sudoku grid. We're so proud of it, and thanks so much to those of you who've downloaded it already. It is, the puzzles in it are by people like Clover, Fistamafel, Codec, people that you know, so just absolutely stellar stuff. Now, apart from that, what do I need to say? I need to say a very happy birthday to Augie today, and that's from your friend Sai. Now, I think those are both computer pseudonyms, so I hope I've said them correctly. But Sai wrote to us, Augie, and said that the two of you have been enjoying Sudoku for a number of years. I think you originally met on a Minecraft server. Minecraft is not a game I've ever played, I have to say. But anyway, I think you might be 24 today, and I hope I've got the day right. And if I have, let's hope that you have an absolutely enormous amount of chocolate cake. Although I have to say, today I would not enjoy chocolate cake. It is positively tropical in the UK. We are in some sort of heat wave. It's at least 22 degrees Celsius outside and absolutely boiling. Now, other than that, if you are a patron of the channel and you have been solving Joseph Nehme's Sudoku Hunt, then I would not blame you at all. It is absolutely magnificent. 13 puzzles, all based around equal sum lines, and many more of you have correctly solved all 13 puzzles. So I want to congratulate Amit Sharma, Debbie Fisher, Morgan Karpusky, Patrick Turner, William Callan, Mirko Schultz, Wesley Spikes, Pablo Alvarez, Eric Ball. Actually, that could be Eric Bill. My writing is so bad. Eric Bill, I'm going to go with. No. Olimar, I read your name out the other day, and then you wrote in and said I didn't read your name out, but I did. I remember doing it. David Clare, Dean Thirlwell, Dave Buccieri, I think, Anna Marie Paganelli, Marnie Separovich, Greg Bretthauer, Andrew Miller, Scott Joss, Mike Ewing, Leppy R64, a very nice holiday destination you were solving those puzzles in, Leppy R64. That looked absolutely beautiful. Brian Sancool and Paul Romanchik, I think that's how to say your name. I hope I've got it right. Brilliant solving, all of you. Very well done. Now, let me read you the rules of ZegreS's puzzle. They are fairly straightforward today, or a little bit of trickery going on with the blue dots. They are surprising. The rules are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Blue dots join cells with a difference equal to the grey central digit of their box. And it has an example, thankfully. It says, for example, if row 2, column 5 is a 4, okay, row 2, column 4, which is that digit, and row 3, column 4, have to have a difference of 4. Okay, well that's exactly what I would expect. So if this was 1, this would have to be 5. If this was 5, this would have to be 1 or 9, I suppose, because it would have to be 4 different, because we're looking at this for the difference between these dominoes. But I guess, yes, okay, we're always looking, because the grey cells can be different digits, it's not like normal where if we had a black Kropki dot, we'd always know that the ratios, or a white Kropki dot would mean that the difference between the digits was always 1. Here, the difference can be anything depending on the grey value in the middle of that specific box. So we're going to have to keep track of that and see how to do it. Do have a go at the puzzle. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. And now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Let's get cracking. So the first things I'm seeing here, well, actually, the first thing I'm seeing, now I actually think about it, is remarkable symmetry in blue dottage. Because we've got total symmetry with those, haven't we? If we rotated the grid, or in fact, if we reflect the grid around the central column, you can see these blue dots all hit each other. These blue dots hit each other. These blue dots are also symmetrical. That blue dot, I think, is the only break in the symmetry. So the only thing breaking the symmetry here is the blue dot here and the fact that obviously 1 and 4 are different digits. So we should be able to apply a lot of similar logic as we work through the solve. This box has a lot to answer for, doesn't it? Because it's got 2 blue dotted dominoes and a blue dotted triple. So what can this digit actually be? A blue dotted triple. I was about to say it couldn't be. We can't put as high a digit as 4 in here, but we can, can't we? 4 could go with 1, 5, 9. That's very annoying. And then that could be 2, 6, and that could be 3, 7. Yeah, so actually that's fine. Right, so it can be 4. I don't think it can be 5. If we put 5 in there, we're always going to run out of space. We can go 1, 6, but then this is going to have to be too big. So this has to be 1, 2, 3, or 4. That's not the restriction we were looking for. So okay. Right, I was tempted to have a look at these for a moment, but actually I've just realised something that's probably more sensible. That cell has to be double that digit, doesn't it? Yeah, this is important. Right, what I'd failed to appreciate is when you have a blue dot linked to a grey square, let's think about how that's going to work. Because we know this is the difference between this digit and this digit. So whatever this is, that is double it. So if that was a 1, that would have to be a 2. If that's a 2, because the difference is now 2, that has to be a 4. If that's a 3, that has to be a 6. If that and it can't be and it can't be a 4, because if that's a 4, that's going to hit 12, and not even Sven's software will allow us to enter 12 into a cell. So that cell is 1, 2, or 3. And the corollary of that is by symmetry, that cell is 1, 2, or 3, because that has the same property. This cell has to be double this. Now, the other thing is that one is linked as well, isn't it? Oh, yes, that's true. But very annoyingly, this only has 1 blue dot, so that's got to be 1, 2, 3, or 4. But it can be 4, because that can be 8, and there's no need to cater for the 12 digit. So because there's no other blue dot here, which there is there and there. So this cell has to be 2, 3, no, it has to be 2, 4, 6, or 8. Actually, that's worth recording, isn't it? 2, 4, 6, or 8. It has to be even. Okay. So this digit has to be 2, 4, or 6. This digit has to be 2, 4, or 6. This digit has to be 3, 6, or 9. And this digit has to be 3, 6, or 9. Which might be important. Let me just try and understand what that's meaning. Okay. So I want to say it's very difficult to, well, yes, okay, what we can say for sure is that one of these digits has to be a 6, can't we? And that's because if neither of these digits was a 6, then these cells would have to be made up of the digits 1, 2, 3, and 4, and yet there are 5 of those 5 cells there. And if I fill 5 cells with the digits 1, 2, 3, and 4 in one row, I will repeat a digit, and that will be a problem. So that, given that one of these is a 6, one of these is a 3. This is lovely. Okay, so one of these is a 3, one of these is a 6, which means one of these, you've guessed it, oh, is a 9. And now, that's not a 4. Because if that's a 4, how do we make this triple work? It has to be 1, 5, 9. There's no other way of doing it and keeping the digits within the bounds of Sudoku digits. And that's going to clash with the 9 we've got in one of those cells. So this cell is now... Oh, right. So this is now 1, 2, or 3. And that's given us a 1, 2, 3 triple, which now knocks 2 out of these cells. Which knocks 1 out of these cells. Which knocks 3 out of these cells. That's absolutely beautiful. So I've got a 1 in the grid. By Sudoku. So let me just go through that again, because that was quite cool. So what we did was we found a 1, 2, 3 triple, knocking 2 out of these cells, but 2 was a reflection of the fact that this cell could be a 1, and therefore we'd have to have double 1 in this cell, because we know that these are in a ratio of 1 to 2. We know this cell specifically is always double this cell. So once we knock 1s out of these 2 cells, we knock 3 out of these cells, and we've now got a 6, 9 pair in this row. We've got a 4, 6 pair in this row, and we get a 1 in the middle of the grid by Sudoku. But 1 is the least profitable digit in terms of the blue dots we've got to place in box 2. Although, having said that, I've just realised I've got a 6, 9 pair in row 1. And that means these 3 cells here cannot include the digits 6 and 9, obviously, but they also therefore can't include 7 and 8. Because if we did put 7 and 8 on the blue dots, we would have to, the third digit would have to be a 6 or a 9, and that will break the puzzle. So these cells have to be low, and they can't be 1. So these have got to be 2, 3, 4, or 5. And as that's a sequence, that must involve 3 and 4, mustn't it? Because it's either 2, 3, 4 or 3, 4, 5, which means this digit is never 2 or 5, and that's always 3 or 4. 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, yeah, that's right. Now, that's not a 1 anymore, so that's not a 2 anymore. Okay, so perhaps we have to look at row 2 then. 5s, 7s, 8s, and 9s to place. 5s, 7s, 8s, and 9s. And 2 of these are on blue dots with a difference of 1. Ah, right. Where does 6 go in box 2? And the answer is I don't know. It goes in one of those 2 cells, where I guess it could link to 5 or 7. Bobbins, right, sorry, that's not actually helpful at all. Okay, so what are we looking at next? I wanted to look at these earlier on in the puzzle. This must be a bit restricted, isn't it? I can't think. Yeah, okay, we can't have 4 in here. Because if we have 4, we've already worked this out. When you have 4 and you're dealing with 3 blue dots, or 2 blue dots joining 3 cells, the only way that works is with 1, 5, 9. And although I can do that on one side, what would I then put on the other side? I can't put 2, 6, 10 in. That's silly. So that won't work. That means this digit has got to be a 1, 2, or a 3. And by symmetry, I suppose that digit's a 1, 2, or a 3. But that's, I suspect, going to be... Well, it'd be lovely if I could get rid of 1 from these. Yes, if I get rid of 1, then I'd have a 2, 3 pair. That would have to be at least a 4. Oh, I suppose, but there's only 1 blue dot to deal... Yeah, that's horrible, actually. So there's only 1 blue dot to deal with in box 7. So actually that could be quite a high digit, couldn't it? I mean, it could be a silly digit. It could be like a 7 even. And that could be a 2, 9 pair. Right, so that was a silly thought. Now, if this... Yeah, in fact, making this 1 is very easy as well, because then all we're saying is that this is a run of consecutive digits, so it could be something like 2, 3, 4. And this is a run of consecutive digits, which could then... We would know how to include a 7, I suppose. Because these 3 digits would be selected from 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, let's try 2. If this is 2, how does this work? These 3 digits could be 1, 3, 5. Oh, but they can be 3, 5, 7 or 5, 7. Ah, right, that is actually interesting. Okay, let me just think about that for a moment. If this is a 2, it's not possible for these 6 cells to all be odd, because we'd run out of odd numbers to put it. There are only 5 odd numbers between 1 and 9 inclusive. 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. So if I do make... Yeah, this is really interesting, because that means that one of these dot sequences has to be 4, 6, 8. Let me explain that slowly. Ignore this 1 for the moment. It doesn't. If we try and put 1, 3, 5 in here, we then got the challenge of how we're going to make these 3 dots work when we need to make a difference of 2 between each one. And because we can't now start, if we started at 9, we'd have to go 7 and then we'd hit 5 again. That would put 6 odd numbers in this box, which doesn't work. So one of these sequences has to be an even sequence, but there are only 4 even digits between 1 and 9 inclusive, and we've used the 2 up. So that means this would have to be 4, 6, 8. So if there is a 2 in one of these, the 6 would have to go... Oh, this is beautiful. Right, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. Wow. Okay. Okay, so let me try and explain this sensibly. The way to have seen this, I think efficiently, which I didn't do, but I'm now going to show you, is this. This is just lovely. It really is lovely. Right, let's come back and look at this. This is a 2 or a 3. So what digit must there be in this domino? Well, if this is 2, 4, 6, that's one thing. It's either 2, 4, 6, or it's 3, 6, 9. There is always a 6 in that domino. Therefore, there's always a 6 in this domino. Now watch what this does to this box, and I think probably to this one as well. This given 6 and this 6 up here plonks the 6 in one of 3 cells. But none of these 6 positions are in the centre of the 3 cell sequences. So if I make this a 2, given the logic I just explained, which is that one of these blue dot sequences has got to be 4, 6, 8, where has the 6 got to go if that's true? Well, the 6 has to go in the middle of the sequence. It's 4, 6, 8. And you can't put it there. It's impossible because these 6's stop it. And the 6 is over here. Work exactly the same way. You can't put a 6 in the middle of the sequence. So that means that this is a 1, 3 pair. in the middle row. You can't put 2 in the middle because the parity won't allow it. So now, well, now I've got an X-wing on 3s, haven't I? So I now can't put 3 in these cells. And that's obviously because well, if I try and put a 3 here, for example, I'll then have 2 3s up there, which clearly won't work. Because there's a 3 in row 2, there's a 3 in one of these 2 cells, and in row 5 there's a 3 in one of these 2 cells. We can now ask how many 3s. The way to understand X-wings is to think about how many 3s there are in the columns associated with this row restriction. And we know in this column there's 1 3 in the finished puzzle if we get it correct, and in this column there's 1 3 in the finished puzzle if we get it correct. So in the orange squares altogether there are 2 3s. Now, how many 3s are there in exactly those 4 cells? Well, the answer is 2, because there's 1 in one of those and there's 1 in one of those. So the 2 3s that exist in these 2 columns are in the blue squares, so we can't be adding any more 3s willy-nilly. That will be silly and break the rules of Sudoku. And that means these cells can't be 3 anymore, which might be important. Although, no, maybe it's not. Sorry, I was forgetting, of course, that the restriction that applies in these squares is only applying to 1 blue dot, which I even worked out this could be as much as a 7 before. So maybe that's not what I meant to think about. Well, let's think of, we know one of these is a 3. So how's that working with the blue dots? 3. So that could be 1 4 7. Yes, right. Sorry, this is interesting as well. If this is 3, one of these sequences has to be 1 4 7 and the other has to be 2 5 8, because we can't use 3 in the sequence. So actually, this is very peculiar. But what we're going to learn is that where we put 3 in the middle of whichever one of these is a 3, we're going to know what this pair is, because one pair is 1 4 7, so one of them is a 4, and one of them is 2 5 8, so one of them is a 5. But hang on a minute, also because we know one of these is 1 4 7 and one is 2 5 8, 6 and 9 are the digits we won't have put in the box yet, and there's a 6 here. So whichever one of these is 3, the 6 in that box will have to go and hide right in the corner, away from the blue dots and away from the given 6 here. So there is a 6 in one of those 2 cells, which is weird, because that means that neither of these cells can be a 6 in the finished puzzle. Which means that this is so beautiful. Look, 6 6. So now I know there's a 6 in one of those 3 cells, and the corollary of that is a 6 in one of these 3 cells. And I also know that because whichever one of these is the 3 has a 6 in its corner, in its row 6 corner, in its row 4 corner, one of these 2 cells has to be a 9, because that's the other digit that we can't put on the sorry, I'm being inarticulate and getting my thought processes crossed up, but it's the other digit we can't put on the blue dots in these boxes. So we don't know which of these is 1 or 3, I think. Although, let me just think about this for a second or two. Ah, no, right, okay. I do not know what this pattern is called, but it's a pattern. It's a beautiful nonsense pattern. Right. I am going to allege that. Yeah, it's lovely. It's just lovely. That's not a 3. That's not a 3, because I mean, we're going to have to keep this in mind here. So remember that wherever the 3 goes, there's a 4-5 pair in the middle of its blue dots. So let's actually try and put this a 3 in here. So that means this is a 4-5 pair, but there's a given 4 there. So that has to be the 4. Now, what happens up here? Well, this has got to be a 2, so this has got to be double 2, which is 4. And that does not work, because it puts 2 4s in this column. So this is wrong. And that means, coming back here, coming back here, where we knew that this was a 1 or a 3, we've just proved this is not the 3. So this has got to be the 1, this has got to be the 3. Therefore, this is a 2, this is a 4, this is a 6, which means this is a 4, this is a 5, which means this is the 1 4 7 triple, and there's a 1 here, so that gets filled in. This is the 2 5 8 triple, and there's a 2 here, so we get that filled in. We know that the 6 and the 9 go in this order because of the given 6. So now we can get rid of the colouring, I think. We now know that 6 goes here by Sudoku in this box, if I trust my pencil marking, which means, right, okay, how does this 6 develop along its blue dots? It could go up or down in theory, but it's a difference of 1 we're using. So if it goes down, it goes 6, 5, 4, and that clashes, so it must go up, and that must be 6, 7, 8. And that squares a 3, and that squares a 6, and that squares a 9, using our earlier logic. This is not 9 anymore. And this is not 7 anymore by Sudoku. So this is 5 or 8. This is not 7 anymore. Okay, and now I'm stuck, am I? What can I do? I can get the 9 in this box. That's because I can't put 9 on the blue dot, because then I'll have to put 8 and 7 on it, and 8 and 7 have already appeared. So this 9 here, I think, is telling us that that cell is a 9. Which means these cells have got to be made up of relatively low numbers. And these 3 are consecutive because of the 1 difference. So they're either 2, 3, 4 or 3, 4, 5. So they definitely have 3 and 4 in them, which means that's not 3 or 4. That's not 2 or 3. So this is the high end of the sequence, so this needs to be the low end of the sequence. So this is 2 or 3, leading up to 3 or 4, leading up to 4 or 5. So now that's not able to be 3 anymore. That's not able to be 4 anymore. So now, what can we say now? Have we got enough to work on? I've got a 3 looking at this square, so that's got to be 2. So that means this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and that's 5. And now in this row, I've got a 2, 3 pair to place. In this row, I've got 4, no, I haven't got 4, I've got 5, 8, and 9 to place. And in this row, I've got 1, 4, and 7 to place, which, oh, I see, yeah, I do have 1, 4, and 7 to place. Okay, and that's not a 1. So probably we must be doing something. Whoa, whoa, whoa. How big is that now? This cell here in box 9 can't be 1, 2, 3, or 4. So it's at least 5. And yet this, I suppose that's not too bad, actually. That's actually not too bad. It could even be 2, 7, actually. It probably is 2, 7. That would work very nicely with a 5 here and wouldn't seem to break column 7. What have we got to put into this column? 1, 2, 7, and 8. Let's see how to do that. 1 by Sudoku goes there. I just need to look at the ones there. So 1 by Sudoku goes here. Oh, so it's, right, okay. It's not 2, 7. So this is not 5 indeed. Right, okay, look, because we've got a 1 now on this blue dot. Whatever this is going to sort of inform what partners are 1. So if this was 5, this would have to be 1 and 6, and that's going to clash. So this is now bigger than 5. So it's got to be 6 or 7. It can't be 9 because that would require 1 and 10. So this is 6 or 7. This is either 1, 7 or 1, 8, both of which look possible. Okay, sorry, I'm not sure if I can do that. What about... Where do we look now? Let us look at... Well, okay, we've got... Right, let's try this blue dot instead. 3s, 7s and 8s into the bottom of this column. Right, okay, that's nice, because this dot here can't be a 7-8 pair, because that would require this to be a 1, which it cannot be. In fact, this digit is relatively large as well. So this is 3 with something, with either 7 or 8. So in theory, this is either 4 or 5 to allow the difference to exist, both of which seem to be possible. How annoying. That's not 6 anymore, though. I have a feeling there's something going on in row 8. But I can't see what it is. Let me just look at this for a moment or two longer. No, okay. I don't know what it is. Right, let's try more Sudoku then. 2. Boom, boom, boom. There's a 2 in one of these cells. 4 is in one of those 2 cells in box 7. 5, 6. No, I've already pencil marked the 6 is in. 7 is in one of those 2 cells. Oh, yeah, okay. And 8 is in one of these 3 cells. And 9 we don't know much about. Okay, let's try... Where else should we try for more luck? We shall try... 9 has to be in one of these 3 cells and has to therefore be in one of 2 cells because it can't go in the grey dot. 3 has to be in one of those cells. Okay, that's another little X-swing. Look, 3's here and 3's here. So what we can say there is that, well, the simple question to ask, I suppose, is where does the 3 go in row 9? We've worked out it can't be here. It now can't be here. So it's in one of these 3 cells, which means that is not a 3, which means that is not a 6. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So how is this dot made up? Remember, one of these digits is, well, remember this digit is always double this digit. So this is now either 2, 4 or 4, 8. So the common digit is 4, which means that cell's a 5, which means this is now a 3, 8 pair. So that's not 7, which means this is 7. But it also, let's not forget, this 5 displaced a 4 pencil mark, so we can get a 4 in here. And we can get the 6 in here, which means that's not a 6. And that might be important, perhaps, or not. These 2 squares have now got to be a 2, 9 pair to finish box 7, which means that's not a 9. Which means I've got a 5, 8 pair in row 2, which means these 2 squares lose their ability to be 5. Oh, this is gorgeous. Right. So what are these 2 digits now? Well, the point is we know one of them is a 6 from the work we did earlier, but now, because one of these is a 9, and we're looking at a difference of 1, one of these has got to be 8 to be 1 different from 9. So that's got to be a 6, 8 pair. Oh, that does absolutely nothing. This square is now 2 or 5. It's whatever's missed off this blue dot sequence. So there is something, it's nearly something going on in column 5. Oh, sorry, I thought that was going to be it, but it's not. Right, okay, let's try. What do we need up here? We need 3, 5, and 8. So this isn't 8. That's got to be 3 or 5. And that's got to be, okay, that's got to be 5 or 8, hasn't it? That can't be 3 because there is a 3 in this sequence. So that's the 3, which means these two squares are a 7, 9 pair, and there's a 9 here. So we get more Sudoku done. 9 and 7 go into the grid. So now, where does 8 go in the top row? It seems to have to go here, which means this is 5, this is 8, and this is either... okay, so now we can see 2 is on this sequence, which means that sequence has to be 2, 3, 4, which means that's the 5, which means that's not 5. 2, 3, 4, that's a 5 by Sudoku. And these two squares have got to be 2, 4, and 7, which we might be able to... that's got to be a 2. Sees 4, 7 in the column. This has got to be 4, that's got to be 7. This 7 removes the ability of this to have 7, so this is 1, 8, which means the difference is 7. And that plonks a 2 at the bottom of the grid. And now, what do we need here? 3 and 5. And there's a 5 here, so 5 goes in, 3 goes in, 3 goes in, 8 goes in. The 8 fixes that this is 4, so that must be 2, which fixes the 2 and the 9. We might be finishing this, I think. The 8 and the 1 are done by Sudoku. That's a 6 by Sudoku. Therefore, that's 6, that's 8, that's 9, that's 7, unwinding our blue dots. This is a 5 now, because it sees a 9, 8 pair. That's not 7 or 4, so that's got to be 1. That's not 2. Oh, in fact, we know this is a 2, 3, 4 sequence. So what's the middle digit, Simon? Come on. Deary me. There, we can do all this. We can do all this. If we're not completely inept at Sudoku, we can do it. Therefore, that's 2. That's 3. What do we need to finish this box off? Oh, we need a 6 in this box, so that's got to go here, which implies that's a 9 by pencil marks. This column needs 1 and 3. We can do that. These two squares have got to be 7 and 9. We can do that. That fixes the 9 and the 8. That puts an 8 here, puts a 5 here. And that seems to be the puzzle solved. Very, very pretty indeed. Middle Distance by ZegreS. The start of that is really, really clever. I loved the fact that you could get this 1, 2, 3 triple in row 2. But then I think the absolute pièce de résistance is ruling 2 out of these two squares because of parity. That's so beautiful, the way it works with the 6s here. And the fact that because you'd have to put 6 in the middle of a sequence because you need a 4, 6, 8 triple, you can't do it. And that gave us the 1, 3 pair. And then we had to, what did we do then? I think we worked on the 3s, and we noticed, that there was a problem because the 3 in this row always sits underneath the 2. The position of the 4 in this box is always shunted into the top position, one of those positions on the blue dot, and that you can see in column 9 breaks. Absolutely gorgeous. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I do enjoy them, especially when they're kind, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.